All right, so this is a system overview video on your new hydronic system in your OVP van. If you have an Aqua Hot system, this is the video for you. We'll be explaining how to use the system, how to turn it on, and the basic features and functions of how it works. So to wake the system up, you'll just tap on the screen and you'll notice there's a few different options on the panel right away. If you have heated floors, then you'll notice that you do have a separate control for your heated floors. If you don't have heated floors, you will just have listed the front zone here. The Aqua Hot system is designed to support multiple zones for large installations. If you have an OVP van, you're most likely just going to have a single zone for your air heat. So that is why it is going to be listed as just front as opposed to front and rear. So your air heat, you can always think of as your front zone, and your floor heat is your floor zone. Everything in this is thermostatically controlled. So if I want my front or my air heat zone to be at a certain set point, I can tap on that item and make sure my thermostat is set to the on position. It gives me the current readout temp up here and my set temp here. So if it's 65 degrees in my van right now and I want it to be 75 degrees, I would set it by doing that. Now, nothing is actually going to happen at this point, typically. We would need to turn on either the diesel burner or the electric heating element in order to actually get the heat. So that's just our first step. If I want my floor heat on as well, I would go ahead and turn the thermostat on, and I would set my floor heat. I'm going to set that to 85. I like a nice warm floor. Then the next step would be choosing how we get our heat. Okay, so there's two options: your diesel-fired furnace that's underneath of the van or the burner, and the electric heating element. You can see right now I actually have the electric heating element to the on position, and that's because I am inside of the van. Or I'm not inside of the van, sorry, I'm inside of a building, and I'm plugged into shore power. Those are two pretty specific requirements. Typically, we would only recommend using the electric heating element for when you are winterizing your van, which we have another video about. If you're storing it inside of a building and you need it to be heated, or if you're plugged into shore power. And you can be plugged into shore power and outside, but we don't typically recommend using the electric heating element on battery power because it uses a lot of power. So for this example, I'm going to leave the electric heating element on. And what that's doing is it's actually just heating up a coil inside of your glycol tank. And it does take about 20 to 30 minutes to get up to full temp. The burner can take about 15 minutes to get up to full temp from being a totally cold system to heating it up. Now, the diesel burner works slightly differently in that it uses diesel fuel directly out of your fuel tank, and it burns it off in a diesel-fired furnace, and then it heats a recirculating loop of glycol through the system. Now, the glycol is food safe. It's also available in most hardware and different like automotive parts stores, so it is pretty easy to get a hold of if you ever need some. But essentially what it's doing is that's running through an air heat exchanger and a water heat exchanger as well to get you both your air heat and your water heat. Now, once you turn the system on and you're running it, you'll see a system status indication underneath of the two heat options. And right now the system is on interior heat. That does not mean that it is not also heating your water. It's just on the priority setting to get the interior heat up to temp before the water. And we can actually toggle that by going into the menu here, and we can turn interior heating priority off, and you'll actually hear some fans kick off in the background. And now you'll see the system status is actually prioritizing hot water first, which is a pretty helpful thing. Let's say you just get back from skiing all day and you just really want to take a nice hot shower. You don't care about how warm it is in the van right out the gates. You just want the hot water. The other benefit to this is it's going to always prioritize that hot water, even if you accidentally leave your thermostat on and you notice that it's already pretty warm in your van. It's not going to pump a bunch of air heat out as well. So if I were to go back to the interior heating priority, kick that back on, you'll notice that the system status has changed. Once again, back to interior heat as a priority. Once you get up to temp and everything is up to temp, you'll see the system status change to standby. And that means that you've reached the interior set temp that you set at your thermostat for both your floor and your front zone settings. And you have hot water as well. So whenever you see it in standby, it means you're completely good to go in both cases. And if it's still a little too cold, you can always change the set point of your air heat, and then the system would go out of standby and it would go back to interior heat as well. In that menu, there's a few other options here. One of the unique features to the Aqua Hot system is the quiet mode. So if I want to keep the interior noise level and the exterior noise level of the Aqua Hot system to a minimum, you can turn the quiet mode on or off. What that will do is it will actually change how the diesel fired furnace runs outside of your van. So if you're camping next to tent campers or folks that might be bothered by the noise, the quiet mode will actually quiet the whole system down for them. So that's a nice little feature that the Aqua Hot system puts into their systems. It's been great to know that if you have someone camping nearby, they're not going to be kept up all night by the drone of a diesel-fired heater. In the diagnostics panel, if you pop into this, you'll see a few different options. There is the diagnostics area specifically, and this is going to give us statuses on all of the different hardware that is installed in the system. And you'll actually see like system voltage, burner we do see is off currently. Our electric heating element is on. And all of these things are more for OVP service technicians or Aqua Hot service technicians to utilize and use, but it can help you understand what's going on in your in your hydronic system. So if I go back to home, then it brings me to this page here. The faults area will tell you if there's been any errors with your heater firing up. And if those faults are detected, it's not the end of the world. You can always try firing the heater up a few different times to see if the fault persists. But otherwise, if you do have continued faults, this is a good place to go to start. Getting this information either by taking a photo of it, and sending it to OVP service via a phone call or a text message would be very helpful. Otherwise, if you can't get a hold of one of us, Aqua Hot's service center number is right here down in the bottom, so you can always give them a call as well. So going back, the test area is mostly for OVP techs, so try not to mess around with this too much. And then the back button will get you back to that home page. So when using the electric heating element, it is important to remember that you need to have your inverter on in order for your electric heating element to work properly. It is a 110 or a 120 volt appliance, essentially. And we do cover usage in another video in our electrical system overview. So if you're confused about how to do that, make sure to watch that video as well, and that'll teach you everything you need to know about and how they work. So that is turning on and interacting and using your system in a nutshell.